Welcome to the Coach's Corner, part of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe. I'm your host, Mama Lyons, also known as Mama Lyons, and this is where real conversations meet real growth. Here we explore what it means to rise through reflection, resilience, and purpose. One story, one insight, one breakthrough at a time. Whether you're a coach, a leader, or simply on your own personal development journey, this is your space to reflect, identify, stand, and emerge stronger than before. So grab your notebook, take a deep breath, and let's rise together, right here in the Coach's Corner. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. I am your host, Mama Lyons, also known as Mama Lyons. If you've been with us for a while, today's guest may look familiar. Shakir Muwwakkil is back. And if you remember our first conversation, you already know that when Shakir comes to the corner, we're going to think. Shakir is a mental educator who works with individuals, couples, and families to better understand the thought processes and relational dynamics that influence how we live and connect with one another. Last time, we talked about mental education, accountability, and growth. Today, we're taking that conversation into a space that affects just about every one of us: relationships. Why is finding the right person so difficult? Why can two people genuinely love each other and still struggle to make the relationship work? What does a healthy relationship actually look like? And here's the question I'm especially interested in: how much does culture influence who we choose, what we expect, and how we behave once we're in a relationship? Shakir and I are going there tonight, actually today. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and join the conversation. Shakir, welcome back to the Coach's Corner.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Let's do this. Great
I've been
introduction.
looking
Love
forward
it.
to this.
Huh?
Pardon me? What'd you
I said, I
say?
love the introduction. Great.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I got a lot of really good responses from the last time you were here. So I was
Okay.
excited that you agreed to come back. I think this conversation is much needed. I personally am very interested in the topic, and I know a lot of people are out there because we are in a time right now where relationships are everything. You and I were just talking off stage about even as a teacher how important it is to build relationship with your students. I mean, it is very much important on our day to day, but more so when it's someone that you love and that you are intimate with. So I am looking forward to getting into this. And
Yes.
let's
So am I.
go.
So am I.
All right, all right. So let's start with the work you do with couples
Okay.
because I know you work with couples, and I wanna
Yes.
know what that's about and what that's like and why. So take your time.
I love working with couples. Some counselors and therapists really shy away from it, but I see the value in couples, right? Um, because I'm very empathetic towards the issues that couples have, right? And couples, we're just thrown into relationships culturally, and we talk about culture and how culture plays a part of that. But it's very meaningful work to me because when people come to couples counseling, that means they're struggling, and a lot of times they're trying to hold their families together whether they're married or not. They're trying to hold something together. They're trying to hold their future together. They're trying to hold their family, the extended family. They've invested time into this relationship. They've invested finances. They're really investing. And so when they come to counseling, they're really like at an end where they need help, right? They're looking for guidance. And so I feel very honored that they trust me with some of their most intimate details, and so I love it, right? outside of that, I understand that families are the foundation to any community, any society, even economically. Um, I just did a whole paper on how families affect economics, and families can only be built through relationships. And so I feel like my work is at the foundation of every community, every society. It's about relationships, and I also think that we don't put enough energy and emphasis and importance on relationships and relational tools as well.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that. So what have some of the couples taught you? What have you learned from people that you worked with?
Ooh, oh man, that how I can go take this so many different ways. Um, you just never know what a person is going through as an individual, and how their family, their upbringing, their environment has shaped them, the trauma that they bring that you may not see until times may when times may become difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many, like, you can't look at a person and just be like, oh yeah, they just, you never know what they're bringing into the space of a relationship. And so that is like, I mean, I've heard some stories that are just like, oh my gosh, walking in here, you wouldn't even know that's the baggage or the experiences or trauma that they're walking around with daily. And so that right there just brings so many different ideas and potential problems in a dating situation, right? And I believe culturally we just make it seem like it's so easy. Oh, you're single, I'm single, let's connect. And we know it's much deeper than that, right? And so many things have to align outside of just the basic surface persona and ideas that we may have or try
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I can see that people rush into relationships, and I definitely have been guilty of it as well.
Hmm.
And I kind of feel like, and you can correct me because you've done the research behind this, but I almost feel like sometimes people enter into relationships fearing that they'll be alone forever, and not wanting to take the risk that, okay, what if this is the person
Yeah.
um, that I really want to be with, and they don't want me, and all that kind of stuff. Do you
All
see?
of that plays a part of it, right? From past experiences, right? Past experiences
Exactly.
shapes us in
Hmm.
so many ways, and we're carrying things, and we all carry things that we were totally unaware of, right? Like, that's why self-reflection is so important. um, I really enjoy self-reflection, and I think it's very important for growth, right? Because sometimes you're reacting to particular things and situations. You're like, where did that come from, right? And it's just, but it's something you've experienced in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so here's the thing, like, it's so hard. I mean, it's difficult. It's the belief system that plays a part that actually hinder us as well. The belief system about there's only one love of your life. It may be multiple. So there's billions, millions of people on this earth, but you think just one person, right? It's that belief system, right? Last night I created content and it was talking about, how you meet someone and they be like, oh yeah, I thought I was in love at the time. Instead of just saying, hey, I was in love at that time, and not I'm not in love with that person any longer. We always diminish what we've done in the past, right? And that's because one is that it goes against the belief system that we only have one true love, which I disagree with. And then also it may mean you may have to be accountable for participating in a relationship, for choosing that person. And so people always try to push away past experiences. And I'm like, no, that was just, if you take that opportunity and let it be a teachable moment, it could be a great moment for a great student, right? And so learn from that.
Wow. I want to put a pin in that real quick. I
Okay.
don't want to get past that because
Okay.
that's important what you just said, and something I had never ever considered. You're right. We will say, "Oh, I thought at the time this that." I've said that so many times,
Yes.
and then and that's minimizing how you really did feel in that at that time.
Yes.
And it was for you, it was true and real love
Hmm.
at that
Hmm.
time. And the
Yes.
other part about that too is that There's nothing wrong with that. Because it's almost like you're ashamed of,
Exactly.
well, it didn't work out. So therefore, I have to somehow minimize it so that this present day person won't judge me for
Yes.
whatever decision I made back then.
Yes.
So that's powerful.
Yes.
And I
And
want people to hear that,
yes.
um,
And
because
what
it's
that
okay.
does, well, what that does is produces authenticity. You can
Right,
authentically say, "Hey, that was me at that time. That's what I needed. I got something from it, or I didn't." But just being authentic, like you don't have to do this performance for the next person. Just be authentic, right? And that's one of the things that I always talk about in my sessions is just being authentically you. Let your relationship be authentic, right? Define it for yourself, right? Don't be embarrassed about what you've done before. It's a growth. It's a
right,
growth. It's a lesson. It's a lesson that can move you towards growing. And
right,
um, and so
right.
never minimize, as you say, never minimize things that happened in the past, your experiences.
Right, right. Or judge yourself. I
Yeah.
also think in the process of reflection, and by the way, I totally agree with you, reflection is important. It's actually the very first letter in my framework to
Yes.
reflect.
Yes.
It's like it's that's where you start.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times we put more pressure on ourselves and our mindset stays stuck and fixed because of self-judgment, because of feeling some kind of way about a
Yes.
mistake, or at least you feel like it was a mistake
Mm-hmm.
in hindsight, but that keeps you from not moving forward in your reflection, your
Yes.
growth, your
Yes.
being able to transform in the manner in which you want to.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that. I mean, man, we're 11, 12 minutes in,
Hey, hey, let's
and this is
go.
getting good.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
what are some of the most common mistakes or issues you see in relationships?
Ooh. So here's the thing. I could say moving too fast.
Okay.
But sometimes moving too fast means you're just unaware of what to look for, right?
Okay.
um and this once again goes to culture and belief systems. Our belief system, you're going to meet one person, you're going to feel good, I feel in love, I feel this, and we think it's all about the feeling. And that's not what relationships, that's only one part of a relationship, or marriage, or commitment. That's just one part. There's so many other things you should look at. And we, as our culture, we do a horrible job, horrible, horrible job at preparing our next generation to be in relationships, right? They grow up 18, 19, they out 20, you're supposed to find the person to spend the rest of your life with. How? You've never taught them what to look for. You never taught them about themselves, how to show up, what's going to be required of you in a relationship, right? You can't. You got to exercise reciprocity. All of these things we don't have this conversation with our young people, and we send them out in the world and just like go. So I'm really big on analogies because analogies allow people to
Mhm.
see things and separate their emotions and ties from it. So oftentimes in my sessions, I tell clients, you have to give each other grace because neither one of you were taught how to be in a relationship and how to produce a successful relationship. You just taught to go find someone to spend the rest of your life with, and which is just crazy. So I always use this analogy. I said there are a bunch of engine parts over in the corner. I'm gonna give you a hammer and I'm gonna give you a screwdriver. Now you guys supposed to assemble that engine and make it run for a lifetime. How do you do that? No one was trained in auto mechanics. No one understands what the
Right.
parts are. No one understands how they have to work together. But we're supposed to put that engine together and it's supposed to run for the rest of our lives. How? It doesn't make sense. And so culturally, we don't prepare the next generation. So we have people that are just going out there and engaging in relationship behavior and just performing, right? Not
Mhm.
understanding
Very
why.
true.
Some people are trying to engage in relationships just for emotional fulfillment. Some are doing it just for the transactional aspect of it. Like we don't have a clue, and we haven't created a framework for our young people to learn how to participate and how to grow in relationships. And so in my studies, I found that some of the most successful relationships are in cultures, indigenous cultures, even with arranged marriages. Now, I'm not necessarily personally not a proponent of arranged marriages, but more
Mhm.
so love marriages, where you find someone that you love, you bring them back to the community, and the community takes help you guys go through these process, right? Understanding, hey, this is what you look for. Grandma, grandpa, has been down this road. They've been in a relationship for 30, 40, 50 years. They can tell you about things that are coming along that you don't even, you're unaware of, right? And so that's where the family involvement becomes into play. Here we just like, well, that's my person, it's my decision, and we go and we allow them to make these moves, but not understanding like, okay, when their relationship dissolve or you have issues, it's going to be your family that's there to support you, right? And so we've kind of taken the community aspect out of it. I mean, there I could talk about this all day long, but it's culturally we just do a horrible job.
No, let's talk about it because I don't think it's being talked about enough.
Okay.
And you're schooling me. There's things that I had not considered, and I'm 60 plus years old. And I think that's crazy, but it's true. And I think communities that are fractured,
Mhm.
homes and families that are fractured make it even worse. So
Yes.
when you have these single parent homes and you have, because when you think about it, I know I have a cousin who his wife is from Turkey, and
Okay.
he was in the military and he met her, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this because I didn't get permission, but I think he'll be okay.
Okay.
But what I was impressed with is when he met her, he met his wife, he had to go and meet her father and her mother and her brothers and in Turkey because that's their
Mhm.
culture.
Mhm.
And they're very happily married now here in the States. But the point is, at the time when he was sharing that with me, I was thinking to myself, wow. I mean, he came up in America, American standards, and you don't see that
Mhm.
but he honored it. He respected it because he wanted that woman.
Yes.
He saw a prize,
Yeah.
he wanted her, and he was willing to humble himself or do what he needed to do out of respect for her family. So
Mhm.
as you're talking, it makes me think about that and how beautiful that really is. Because to your point, a lot of people are, it's my business, I do things my blah 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 blah. We hear a lot of that. But the
Yes.
truth of the matter is there's a purpose behind it, because who's going to have your back? Your family.
Yes.
But
Yes.
there's also the alternative universe where people don't want you to have your family because they want you disconnected because they
Yeah.
want control.
Yes.
And so that's an unhealthy
Yes.
situation,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so for a young woman, and I happen to know you have beautiful daughters, three beautiful
Thank you.
daughters.
Thank you.
So you're thinking too, I'm sure, as a father of three beautiful women,
Hmm.
you want to know who's in their life.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
want to know, you want to be able, and I think you've done a good job of being that father that they know what to look for in a man.
Hmm.
So I get it.
It, it,
People need to hear that though.
yeah, and it's interesting. Like with my relationship with my daughters now, I love this stage of parenting because it's more about guidance, and
Hmm.
I'm able to, like, they've had some experiences, and so we're able to talk about it. And I'm an open book with them, right?
Right.
I'm completely open. And sometimes I challenge them as well, right? Because no matter as a parent what you do, they're always in a society that's kind of pushing back some of the
Right.
things that you're trying to instill in them or give them lens to look through, right? And
Right.
so it's a lot out there, right? Like hurt people. I mean, there's, in terms of like let's stick on the culture, and then I come back and I just talk about like modern dating, right? Like culture, we have to do a better job at training and teaching the next generation about relationships, just as about how to be adults. Like I think we talked about that last time, where parents are just doing everything for the kid, and the young person is growing up and don't have any skills
Right.
about how to be self-sufficient. Well, this is a part of that, right? See, if we had a different cultural dynamic, which teach them how to be independent, self-sufficient, how to participate in a relationship, what to expect in a relationship, how relationships go outside of just the feel good, right?
Right.
But when things get tight, how are you going to show up? When money gets tight for the household, when there's an issue, how do you solve the issue? When you're feeling Um, when you're feeling like your voice, you're not being heard, how do you handle that? How to,
Mhm.
all of these things happens in relationships and we don't talk about it, right? We
Right.
just like, and young people growing up and doing what young people do, and young men is like, oh man, she got a nice shape, nice ass, and and that's
Oh
how
yeah.
they're making their decisions. And young women, oh, he has pretty eyes and pretty hair, that's my guy. And this is how we were jumping in relationships, and then we jump in and mess around and have a kid, right? And
Right.
now it's this is the
Mhm.
world that we're living in, and it's
Mhm.
because the older generation, the previous generation, has taken their hands off and kind of like allowing people to be more individualized instead of really focusing on the community,
Right.
the communal aspect, the collective aspect. Like we're all in this together. Who you bring into our family is a part of our family, right?
Right.
And so you have to be aware of how that person is going to fit into our family, um,
Right.
because we're collective. We all are one.
Right.
Uh, yeah.
You know, and we hear a lot of, and I'm still in the lens of a woman who's thinking about all these women out there. And of course, I'm speaking from the perspective of a woman, and
Yes.
you can from the perspective of a man. But I'm thinking about all those women that say, "Will I ever find somebody?" Like, why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult to find a partner? What do you think that's
Ooh,
about?
there's a ton of reasons. First of all, once again, culture and belief system, right? The idea that ooh, I'm gonna get some pushback, but it's just real. Is that there are more women than men,
True.
and so we have culturally adopted a one for one mentality, right? And in monogamy. So one person get with one person, that means there are going to be a lot of women who never have a man, right? And that's just way nature is. So that's one part of it. Then you talk about location, we talk about experiences, we talk about upbringing, we talk about belief systems, we talk about gender roles, we talk. I mean, there are so many different things that encompass being in a relationship and finding someone to move forward with. And there's no simple answer. All of those things are factor, right? Like are factors. Like you can meet someone and you guys really hit it off, but then you realize like, man, they don't want the same things that I want, right?
Right. Right.
They may want to not be married where I want to be married. They may want
Right.
to be married, and and so all of those things are play. I say is
So true.
what helps the odds, what better the odds in that
Mhm.
is to be authentically you and find someone that can be authentically themselves. And you let go of the ideas, the cultural belief systems, all of these things, and just participate. Some of the highest rating and happiest, and probably some of the find the most longevity I don't, man, it's just being real, right? Sometimes it's the friends with benefits, right?
Mm. Mm.
Statistically, because this is what's interesting, is because in those relationships, people don't bring in particular ideas, right? So two friends that are hanging out is they are allowing that person to be themselves, and the other person is allowing them to be themselves. Now they may have like shared intimacy, but there's no construct of like I need you to be this and you need, like, they're really engaged because they're allowing that person to be themselves and operate in that manner. Now, that was when I seen that statistic, I was like, oh my, but I understand it now. And so that counters the idea of a lot of times we move in, we bring in ideas into the relationship that may not even be our own, right? This is why most people around the 6.5, 7 year period, people said, oh, it's the 7 year itch. It's not an itch, right? It's just that people are settling into who they are and who their partner is, and you're able to see this. And now all of the other ideas of the way the relationship's supposed to be is creating turmoil for you both. And
Okay.
so to resolve that is to throw out all of those ideas that grandma and granddaddy said, because grandma and granddaddy are telling you things about relationships that wasn't even that they didn't even show up and do, right?
Yeah.
And so once you're able to extract all of those things, you're able to find a better alignment. Hey, I only want to see you maybe 3 times a week. That works for you. That works for you, right? That's what I'm talking about, being authentic. You may live in a different state. They live in a different state. But if it works for you, cool. Where the outside, well, you're supposed to be together, husband and wife, supposed. Mm-mm. If you want longevity, you have to find your authentic needs and communicate that with your partner and authentically shape your relationship for what works for you two, because no one else is participating. So a lot of that's what's required to be able to find happiness in relationships is to really know who you are and what you desire and why do you desire those things. Do you just desire them because someone told you you're supposed to desire them? Like I had a conversation with a gentleman. He was like, well, she came home after 2 o'clock. Okay. What's the purpose? Well, I was like, so why was it 2 o'clock and why weren't you upset about 1:30? And this was just trying to get him to see that he was just bringing this idea that your woman's supposed to be home before 2 o'clock, right? He didn't even care. He was asleep.
2 a.m. Let's make it
at 2 a.m., right? At 2 a.m. he was asleep. He didn't know. But the point I was trying to bring is that you're bringing someone else's ideal and trying to make this an issue in your relationship. You really didn't care. You didn't care about 1:30. Why was 2 o'clock significant? And he had to think about it. He was like, well, yeah, I guess that was an idea that I bought into. And so we do a lot of that, and it creates issues in a relationship where it even have to be, right? And so I just want people, always try to tell individuals, just be authentic. Like, how do you guys want to shape this? What works for you? Gender roles, all of those things. Like, it doesn't have to be like anyone else's relationship. The most successful relationships are typically those that are actually when people are able to be authentic, or they're able to they're breaking away from the norm, so to say.
Yeah. I have interaction in the comments, and I rarely, if ever, get this type of interaction. So I'm loving this. So I want to introduce at Alpha, the first one commented. You can see it on the screen.
Yes, before the sex revolution.
Yeah. What do you say to that?
It could be true, right? But here's the thing. What I always hear about from a cultural standpoint, right? Like I don't have the numbers to say, right? But I do understand in that time period, the numbers could be skewed, because in that time period, women were subjugated to men in a way they're not today, right? Domestic violence was high. All of those things was rampant then. So all of those things was at play. I don't necessarily know if it has to do with just sex. I think it has a lot to do with how we were shaped, like where we put value and importance, right? Okay. I think that plays into the overall culture. I personally believe the divorce rate is high is because people are not choosing relationships. They don't have the information, and we're just entering in relationships. Back then, if we're talking about, like, we don't have a particular time period, but I'm just going to say before the sexual revolution. So we're talking about maybe the 1950s and 60s. People were getting together to build families, right? That was the focus. I want to have a family. I want to be able to build. Back now, their focus is not to necessarily build a family. It's about, what can this person do for me and how I'm going to feel? Like, all of these things, the family is probably like the third or fourth thing, or even further down the line. And so right now it's more about self-fulfillment than it is about the family. So so that would be my take on it. 42 of the children were born out of wedlock. Yeah. So yes, out of wedlock. Wedlock, here's the thing. I don't think wedlock played a part, but wedlock wasn't, I think we put a lot of value on that, right? Because it wasn't the wedlock, the marriage, it was the mindset, right? Because even the people that were married back then, how many of us have seen, like, grandma, granddaddy, uncle, aunt has been together 40, 50 years, and then they die, and at the funeral, you got to figure out, like, you have some more aunts and cousins around the way, right? So it wasn't wedlock, it was the mentality, right? And so they present this idea that, oh, look, man, granddaddy had 3 other kids outside of the marriage, right? But it was hush hush, right? He had baby mamas, but it was hush hush, right? Grandma had kids when granddaddy went to war and came back. He was raising kids that wasn't his, right? And so all of these things happen because that's human nature, right? And I don't care what the belief system, the social construct, or whatever it may be, nature always wins.
Yes.
Nature always wins, and
Yes.
we have to really lean into authenticity. Authenticity allows people to be able to bring their ideas into the relationship, which is what a healthy relationship is.
Yeah. 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 I'm not sure. Why do you think alpha? Should we? I'm not. Maybe that was referring to something you said earlier.
I'm not sure
I'm
what
not
that.
making the
Yeah,
connection on
yeah,
that one.
yes.
But
Please rephrase that. Yeah, if
yeah.
you can, to help
Yeah.
us out.
Yeah. Let us know what it is. I mean, the follow-up comment was great show. Uh,
Yeah. So here's what
yeah.
I love about, and it's interesting how life takes you in flow. So back in like '94, and my friends and I, we started celebrating Kwanzaa as a tradition.
Uh-huh.
Around '99, we had a Kwanzaa celebration, and everyone decided, like, the ceremony was over, people sitting around. We decided to put a question in the hat, and every we put a question. We started the topic, and I don't care if the question was like, why is there a man on the moon? It always tied back to relationships. And and what I realized is that at that time, I was in my early 20s. I realized there's not a forum for these type of conversations, right? And
Right.
everyone has questions. That particular night, I realized this was the first time, because people were able to have dialogue. Women talk about men among women. Men talk about women among men. But this forum was the first time we were able to have social dialogue, and it wasn't someone trying to perform just to try and connect with someone. We went to 5:30 in the morning. We put a pause on it and said, look, come back next Saturday. We had twice as many people. And so even back then, I realized this topic of relationships is something that our culture is starving for.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So that was a response to somebody else's question.
Got it.
What do you think Alpha? I was asking Alpha to answer their question. Alpha, the first one, is the name
Okay.
of the person. I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I forget now. Alpha had a couple questions, but
Okay.
I think you addressed them. All right. So what else do we have here? I
Uh,
love that we're getting the engagement. I
oh,
really
we can talk about like dating. I know that was one of the questions we talked
Yeah. Was
about.
it this
Like,
one?
yeah, like moving into dating, like the dating pool is so jacked up now, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
because for one, we don't understand why we're dating. Then we bring all these ideas into dating, and a lot of them are self-serving, expectations, not enough expectations. I mean, moving. We're just moving without a particular place that we're trying to get, right? So and then we have all of these rules, right? And how these rules supposed to be. And like someone's like, oh, I want a traditional man. And it was like, traditional, like, what is that? Are we talking about like from the Quakers? Are we talking about like 2,000 years ago? Like, what should are we talking about, grandma and granddaddy? The 50s, 60s? Like, so what are you saying? And I think this is where people just take the easy road, and not wanting to self-explore. They want to just plug in, and until that system doesn't work for you, right?
Right.
Because you want, and I often say, you don't want, if I'm speaking to a woman, you don't want a man from that era, where they was putting the goon, they were coming home stressed out, their domestic violence was high, women couldn't even own a credit card, couldn't have a house, couldn't have a place to stay. Like, do you really, women was pretty much subjugated to the household. Like, do you really want that type of relationships, or do you want the things that just kind of serve you, like, what it is to be a gentleman, to open the door, and all of these things? Is that what you want, or do you want all of that? And so I try to spark conversations and get people to turn within to figure out what are they really saying, right? Because if you just plug and play, you don't know what you're going to get until you're in the middle of it, right? You said you
Right.
want a traditional, but are you going to? Because when a man from that era, when he came home, it wasn't like, "Hey, honey, what are we going to have for dinner tonight?" It's like, "No, when I get home, my food better be done."
Right.
Right. So
Right.
is that the tradition that you want? Right.
Right.
Are you able to meet those needs? If you want to be a tradition, if you want a traditional man, you got to be a traditional woman, right? Because
Right.
they both have expectations and rules and that comes along with that. And so if
Right.
you can't, then I think you could probably figure out something else. Um, yeah, it's the dating. I mean, I talk to folks all the times, and it's just I feel sorry for because of some of the self affliction, like the issues that they're causing themselves. Okay, what do you say?
Alpha serious. Alpha said, answer the question.
Should we go
Should
back
we
to the
go
rules and
back to the
regulations
rules and
in the day?
regulations?
So here's the thing: I rules and regulations have to be self defined. Alpha
By the two authentic people, right? The two
it does,
people
right?
who are being
Because
authentic.
yeah,
Okay.
because like Alpha, you wouldn't want me to define the rules for you and your relationships, right? You
Yeah.
will want to define that for yourself, right? And this is what I'm talking about because you know your needs, you know your desires, and you know what you would like to have in a relationship. So you wouldn't want me to define those rules for you and implement them. Is what I'm saying. Um, and I think people can do that in a healthy way.
Yeah. So going back
I,
is
I
my
don't.
point.
Okay, so I'm reading the question. So I
Yeah.
don't. So once again, as we talk about the children, these are issues of the generation before,
Right.
right? People not teaching their children. They're not teaching their children how to be accountable, how to be respectful. Like all of these things, it comes from the governing the generation above, right? So like right now, we blame children, but children come as a blank sheet of paper. They don't come. They don't become that way until adults put their hands on them. You know, I have children that I see who are in group homes and foster care, and I just feel bad. It's not the kid; it's the parents,
That's
right?
right.
It's the parents. They, as you know, as an educator, they come. All kids are born as a blank sheet, so we can't really blame the children. We have to
Right.
blame the adults.
Right. 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 No, it's true.
And
It's true.
adults are, and I must say, and adults are only operating in particular culture, how we allow people to show up, even in our communities, right? We're allowing people, their kids out, um, being a menace in a community, but we don't want to say anything to them. We don't want to say anything to the parents. It's like, oh, well, I just moved. And that's the wrong approach. Like, we have to hold people accountable. In our community in particular, we don't like holding each other accountable. And we
Right.
have to. These are some of the things that's going on, talking about, how we represent ourselves in culturally with the bonnets and all that. All of these things are what we're talking about, where we have to have a conversation and hold each other accountable for how we are participating and
It's so
showing up.
true. It's so true. I mean, this is truly a topic that, like you said, people don't get enough opportunity to talk about. And a lot of people operate in a silo in their own unhappiness because of the fact that they're thinking that this is an issue just native to them and the person that they're dealing with. And
Mhm.
it's so universal.
Yes.
Relationships are everywhere worldwide. And but to your point, culture does play a big part of it. And I mean, I'm learning even in this conversation, there's things that you're saying that are really getting me to think
Yes.
about how I move and
Mhm.
how I, see things.
Mhm.
And the realest thing that you said is it's between those two people.
Yes.
The norms are set and established by those two people, whoever
Yes.
they are.
Yes.
And we're only talking right now about intimate relationships. We're not even talking about, but when you really look at it, that applies across the board in any
Mhm.
relationship.
Exactly. It's outside of romantic relationships, even the platonic, familial
Right.
relationships. So here's one of the things that I think a lot of times, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna come back to this, but what I wanted to say as you were talking about the conversation is universal. This is why my practice is we're focusing on doing strictly group sessions with couples. And
Mm.
we're doing retreats. We're doing 3-day retreats, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, right? And the whole idea is to bring couples together. And so you realize you're not an anomaly. Like, this happens.
Right.
Everyone is dealing with this. So part of the therapeutic experience is understanding there's a sense of universality
Right.
into it. So now jumping back to what I was going to say about relationships, all relationships, and people forget this, and especially in a dating relationship, all relationships require reciprocity, right? So if you have a friend and you call this friend repeatedly and this friend never calls you back, that relationship is going to end because there was no reciprocity, right? Same thing in the dating. I was just in a group conversation and women said, "Oh, men ghost me," right?
Mm.
And why do men ghost? And it was like, let's take inventory, right? Every relationship requires reciprocity. If you're requiring this person to do all of these things, plan the date, pay for the date, create the whole experience, and you're just there's no reciprocity. After the third time, most likely that person is going to leave. Now, maybe they should have had a conversation about that, but I'm giving women the other side of the coin, right? If I've financially invested, if I've invested the time, if I invested the time to construct these experiences for you, and you're just the recipient and then sometimes the judge behind that, what did you pour into his cup? Right? Because the whole time he's pouring into your cup. After a while, his cup is looking empty. And this is not the person that I want to build a relationship with because there's no reciprocity. If I'm moving forward to build a partnership, I want a partner. Right. And so these are the things that happen. And because we don't have the conversations where we can see the other side of the coin, right? This is very important. This is why I'm always open book and always willing to share these informations. When back in the day, like some of my closest friends are women, right? So I've always ran things by them because women see things is change your seat, change your perspective. It's something I often say. When you change your seat, then you can see it from a different perspective. But if you're only looking from your frontal view, you don't see everything else that's going on, right? And so I think if we were able to step outside ourselves and look at things from a 360 degree, then we have a better understanding of how to move forward, especially when it comes to gender roles. Men and women both are human beings, so they both feel the same way, right? But we just throw these ideas, and however these ideas were shaped. But if we just look at we're dealing with people and how to move forward, then you can move forward in a more healthier way.
Wow. You said I can't keep up because you're saying so many things that are relevant and I want to just like pick it apart. There's going to be a
Please
part
do.
3 to this. There's going to
Okay.
be a part 3 to this. I just
Okay.
know there'll be another show because there were like 3 things that you said. I didn't want to stop, but I was
Go
like,
ahead.
okay, yeah, I want to talk. Yeah, yeah. Now I can't pull it back, but
Okay.
I will. It'll come back to me. But I do want to talk about the notion of healthy relationship because we hear people say that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be in a healthy relationship.
Yes.
And what does from your perspective, what's a and you've already said it. I know you've
Mm-hmm.
already answered this and
Mm-hmm.
everything that you've said,
Yes.
but let's make it plain.
Okay.
What does a healthy relationship look like actually?
A healthy relationship, I would define it as when you can be authentically yourself. When you feel like you can explore this world without hesitation, without someone and having someone with you that you can share those ideas with, someone you can share these moments with, someone that you can do it and not having fear or hesitation about it, right? And
Mm,
knowing how to work through problems, right?
okay.
Oftentimes, communication, like we always, communication, 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 right? And there's a way. to have effective communication, because just hurling out words at someone is not communication. If the
Right.
person if the person didn't receive it, if the person didn't receive it, then it wasn't effective communication. That's a part of healthy relationship, and having someone that where you empathy is shared within the relationship, right? Where someone can say something and you may not agree with them, but you give them space to be able to share that, right? With the empathetic ear, and then you can get through it. All of those things are, to me, is what defines a healthy relationship. How do you problem solve as a collective? All
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
I'll read this without
Yeah.
we need to stop fronting. Yes.
And this is in alignment with what you've been saying. It really is. I like
Yes.
that new partnership. Me for me, please. 500, Alex.
Yes. And so I
Partnership.
like what Bruce is saying, because a lot of times people judge, and this is because we're looking through the lens of constructs. Oh, they've been together 50, 40, 60 years, but they were
Mhm.
unhappy, right? And the only reason they were there is because financially they couldn't leave. A lot of them can't wait for one of them to die, right? Like they was trying to see who's gonna die first. Like
Right.
literally, I know people that live like that. And so we have an unrealistic the way we value or view uh, uh, a relationship is skewed, right? If it's just not about longevity, it's not
Right.
about longevity. It's about how those two people interact. Are they happy? Are they? Because here's the thing: you can be together and unhappy, and the years are racking up, but your kids have been living in dysfunction. They have
Right.
been living in turmoil. They have seen emotional abuse. They have seen domestic violence. They have seen all of these things. And so, do we overlook all of those things just to say, oh, they've been together for this amount of time? And that's what I'm saying. Um, it's a false way of evaluating a successful relationship.
Right.
Success is can't only be quantified by time together. It can't be. It can't.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you have a lot of people that stay in those relationships because culturally society say you can't get out of it, right?
Right.
And I wouldn't want to subjugate anyone to that type of situation. Like we only have one life,
Right.
right? We only have one life. Why not be able to try to live this life and be the be happiest you can be? And you can do that without destroying someone else, right? Oftentimes I talk about like in couples counseling, sometimes the ideal is like, hey, you guys shouldn't be together. It's not always like the result is saving the relationships. Hey, you two probably shouldn't be together. You're very dangerous. You're very you're not
Toxic.
aligned. You're
Yeah.
very toxic. This relationship is very toxic. You guys shouldn't be together. So why force it?
Right.
So with that being said, it's like as a counselor, it's like, okay, if you guys decide to uncouple, let's still come to counseling and let's figure out how to work through that where it doesn't have to be so tumultuous, right? Breaks up
Right.
doesn't have uncoupling doesn't have to be tumultuous,
Right.
and culturally we think so, right?
Right.
We think, oh well, it got to no. Like,
It
but
doesn't.
that's healthiness, right? That's maturity. That's saying, hey, you know what? Thank you for this journey, right? It's come to an end. Like I want to go this way and you want to go that way. And a lot of times people don't understand because this concept of forever it clouds reality, right? Like life is about evolution. We all are evolving. No one on here on this forum today is the same person they were 20 years ago,
Right.
right? And we've evolved, and life is going to evolve whether we have constructs that say we shouldn't. Life is going to evolve,
Right.
right? Regardless of your belief system, life is going to evolve. You can have a situation where one person have a car accident and change the whole trajectory of their life. Now,
Hmm.
should the other person also have to change, right? No. And so these are things how life just happens. So I believe that a lot of times in our framework of being in a relationship, we have to have these conversations going into it, right? We'll be in this until the wheels fall off. They may
Right.
fall off 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And how do we still maintain and be healthy and support one another with the next phase?
Right.
Right.
Right. No, this is so good. This is so good. I think that you've touched on this quite a bit, but I want to explore just a tiny bit more because in everything that you just said, you're talking about, and even the last comment that I put up. So culture, we the heart of this conversation has a lot to do with culture. When we say culture, we're talking about race, ethnicity, religion, family
Yes.
upbringing, gender expectations, socioeconomic backgrounds. All of those things
Hmm.
are things that have to be explored when you are coming into a relationship, right?
Yes. Yes.
And how and which it is. And again, if you're waiting for that other shoe to fall, if you're someone, and I'm being very transparent,
Hmm.
I'm speaking from personal. I know that there are things that I avoided when I was trying to get to know someone, because I didn't want to know the answer. I don't want to know
Hmm.
how you feel about that
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
don't want to deal with that. But it
Yes.
will surface later. And
Yes.
you're right. I'm looking at how beautiful the eyes are. I'm looking at, whatever.
Hmm.
But you must, and I'm saying this for listeners, you must consider it's better to rip that band-aid off.
Yes.
It's better to go
Yes.
ahead and find out who that person authentically is,
Hmm.
and it's better to reveal who you authentically are.
Yes.
And I know that for some people, some women, again, I only speak from
Hmm.
perspective of a woman, they don't even know who they authentically are because
Hmm.
the last 5 relationships reshaped them.
Yes.
The
Yes.
last 5 relationships made them someone else. And I mean, I'm doing a series now on my Substack and and other things where I'm talking about returning to self. I want to throw in and get your
Yes.
opinion on this, Shakir. Is it important to return to self before you start trying to connect or couple? Is it
Oh, most
important
definitely.
to
Most
figure
definitely.
so that is how you can truly, because I mean it's one thing for us to tell our listeners, okay, you need to be authentic. We first need to figure out if you know what that is, if you know what your authentic self is or
Yes.
who you are. And again, personally, I've had to really evaluate that. I've
Hmm.
had to ask myself after 23 years of marriage and a lot of stuff happened, it's unhealthy for me to run into a relationship with someone because I'm still delayering.
Hmm.
And that doesn't mean that you don't start. And I think it's what you're saying. Build friendship? Is that
Hmm.
what it is?
Yeah. So yes, even before that, it's C and D is what I call C and D. Right? It's challenge. These are what you do for yourself, your thoughts. Right? And it's part of self reflection. You challenge every thought that you believe, and then you dig to see what the root of that, where that root of that thought came from.
Oh,
Right?
okay. I like
So
that.
once you challenge the thought, and then you dig to figure out where did that thought come from, because you may realize that that thought came from in a bad relationship, or when you wasn't in a happy place, or when you were in a protective realm, like all of those things. So when you dig, you have to challenge every idea. Where did this idea come from? Is this my idea? Is this my perception? Or did I buy into this? All right. And now you dig, right? And then you'll start, like, real things will start revealing itself. And you're like, oh wow, I didn't even know I was carrying that. Right. Resentment is a secret killer to a lot of relationships. It's resentment. And resentment is typically unspoken expectations,
Mm.
right? Where you didn't
Mhm.
speak, you just held on to it, you didn't share your partner, but yet you wanted your partner to fulfill those things, but you never opened up about it, right? Like resentment is a part of it. And so if you don't resolve some of those things, then it's going to show up and it's going to play a part in your next situation, in your next relationship.
So
Yeah.
wait a minute. Say that again. Resentment is unspoken what?
Expectations.
Resentment is unspoken
Unspoken
expectations.
expectations. Yes.
Okay. Very
You got
good.
it. Yes.
Very good. Yeah. No, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of expectations.
Yes.
Those expectations, again, were developed from either something someone told you
Mm-hmm.
or something you didn't get, something you
Mm-hmm.
think you need. Oh my goodness. I agree
Yeah.
with Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. This is so good. So good.
Yes. Thanks,
I
Bruce.
mean, this. Thank you so much, and thank you to Gina Boyer. Thank you for all everyone who is chiming in. I love this. I love this engagement, and I'm man,
So
wow,
I know we're getting ready to close. This is
yeah,
what I want to leave with is reciprocity.
yes,
Reciprocity is it has to be present in any relationship, especially at the beginning, right? Because like we don't really talk about this like when in when we meet someone, right? And it's like the expectations that we just want a person to go all out for us. And it's like, hold on, you're still a stranger to this person, right? Why are they invest? It's like a checks and balance system, right?
yeah,
Why would who are, why would someone keep investing in something they have no clue about? If you have $500,000, would you just go invest in a business that you don't even know about, right? And so this is where this is where reciprocity has to come into play because it's mutual investment. Mutual investment means there is safety involved, right? Someone doesn't feel like I'm just investing and I don't know what my return is. When you
mm,
show that, hey, you call me, I call you. We go here, we go there, right? Now we can move in alignment. Now we realize who we're dealing with, right? And then if you get to a point where we need to go our separate ways, there's no harm, there's no foul, right? These are like deeper conversations we need to have about our
mhm,
framework and
right,
how we meet people. This is why we can't get off first base because everybody got these ideas. We can't go to Applebee's. I got to take you here. All these crazy things, and it's like, what are you
yes,
talking about?
yes,
Like,
yes,
are you caring about getting to know that person? And this is what I'm saying. It's like it's so many things that are in this dating mantra or make dating um
hmm,
construct that's just like is we're not going to get any further from first base because we're moving in a place where we're just it's self-serving, right? It's self-serving. We're not able to look at the whole 360, like where are we trying to go? Like it's like we really need to do an overhaul of how we view these particular cultural constructs and how we're moving along in them.
Well, I'm going to say right now, Shakir, that I have like five more questions that I didn't get to. So
Okay.
there will be a part three.
Okay.
I need you to hang on so we can get that scheduled.
Okay.
I want our listeners to be able to come back and tune in and hear us some more because I'm going to throw one out there as a teaser right now that
Okay.
I want to talk about, but we can't do it right now.
Okay.
Do you, and don't answer it,
Okay.
'cause this is for our next one.
Okay.
Do you think today's dating culture with social media, dating apps, endless choices, public conversations about red flags has helped us become healthier or made connection more difficult? This is going to be our next show.
Okay.
Are you
I'm
going to
with
be
it.
ready for that?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm
And
ready.
I have
Yes.
a few other questions, but I
Yes.
love, love, love today's episode.
Yes.
You put so many good nuggets out there. I'm going to go back and analyze it and see if there's anything else we didn't answer. We have great engagement. We are live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. I've seen more comments on this episode than ever where people are really asking questions. And I have to
That's
say,
what we
I'm
want.
grateful because this is
Yes.
what I want to see. This
Yes.
is what
We
we
want
want.
them.
We want
Yes.
engagement.
And have them keep
Yeah, I love it.
asking
So,
questions. Send them to you.
absolutely.
Mental educator on social media. I'm mental educator. Like send us the questions, and we will
Yes.
make sure we bring those back, and we can
Yes.
have those discussions. Let's
And if
do
we
it.
have to show up consistently, monthly, whatever, we
Yes.
can make that happen. Isn't
Mhm.
that right, Shakir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can do that. We can do
Love
that.
it, love it, love
Love it.
it. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem.
Again, hang on so we can schedule our next episode or episodes. I'm
Okay.
not sure, but I am very, very pleased that we are putting something out there, content that people want and people are able to engage with. So we're going to keep it going.
Yes.
But until next week, and I'm not even sure if I'm booked for next week right at this moment. We'll know. We'll put it out there. But
Yes.
definitely, oh, I'm traveling next week. I'm going to Washington, D.C. There
Okay.
will be a
The
replay
30th.
next.
Maybe the two
Yeah, the
weeks.
30th. We could probably do the right.
Yes.
Because I don't have that book. So let's go ahead and say that's what it's going to be, but
Okay.
we'll take care of that. All right.
Yes.
I am so grateful again. Thank you. Please like, share, comment this episode, send it to a friend, get questions from them, ask
Yes.
questions. Like Shakir said, send in questions either to him or to myself. We are both out there on social media, but we want to keep the conversation going. And until the 30th,
Yes.
we'll be ready to respond again. And hey, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Okay. All right. Thank you.